When Ibrahim Traoré came face-to-face with Hillary Clinton, no one expected what followed. In just a few words, he dismantled her arguments and left the entire room in shock. His calm but powerful delivery and undeniable facts turned the moment into a humiliation Clinton never saw coming. And the internet can't stop talking about it. The microphone screamed before a single word. Cameras blinked red. The air in the hall felt heavy, like the room had forgotten how to breathe. It was Monday morning, the first day of a short, tense week in Accra. Leaders had come for a forum on peace and partnership in the Sahel. Reporters whispered. Phones were already live. Hillary Clinton walked in with a careful smile. Ibrahim Traoré, president of the transition of Burkina Faso, stood calm, hands folded, eyes clear. He did not rush. He did not bow to the noise. A young usher dropped her pen. It rolled loud as thunder, and everyone looked down, then up again. The moderator's voice shook. We will begin with 2 statements, then a conversation. The words sounded soft, but it felt like a storm cloud. Outside, sirens passed. Inside, a child's cry from the balcony cut through the quiet and fell into a hush. A week can be long, but this week would be short and sharp. 7 days only, 7 days to change minds. Ibrahim took a slow breath. He did not look at the cameras. He looked at the people, and the room began to breathe again. Across the city, a nursing student named Awa watched the live stream on a cracked tablet she had saved for the data bundle. She sat with her mother and little brother on a borrowed plastic chair. The fan clicked and clicked, counting seconds like a slow drum. Awa's father farmed millet back home. Last year they fled for a while when the road was unsafe. Awa remembered his hands, the lines like dry rivers. She wanted this week to bring ease to those hands. She wanted peace to be simple, like clean water in a clear glass. Online, the chat rushed like rain. Some doubted, some mocked, some prayed. Awa read each line and held her breath. She liked Ibrahim because he spoke like people she knew. Not hard words, straight words, words that felt like bread. In the hall, the cameras moved like quiet birds. The moderator invited opening words. Awa leaned forward. Her mother's fingers found a small tear in her scarf and worried it smooth. The world felt big and near at the same time. If truth could be heard today, maybe the week would turn. Maybe hearts would turn too. Hillary began. Her voice was trained and steady. She spoke of programs, of partners, of reports and risks. She said the region needed trust, needed careful help, needed patience with the slow tools of policy. She smiled with her eyes and asked for proof that new paths were wise. Ibrahim waited. When he spoke, his voice was low and warm. "Madam," he said, "we welcome help, but help must not come with strings that choke. Listen, please, to simple things." He did not raise his hand. He raised pictures. A reopened schoolyard in Kaya. A market in Fada with doors no longer shut at noon. A water point fixed in a village where girls used to walk for hours. "These are not models," he said. "They are mothers and sons." He listed short facts, not to impress, but to hold the floor steady. Fewer blocked roads this month. Grain convoys arriving on time. Young volunteers guarding wells at night with whistles and radios. "You can measure these," he added. "Ask the traders. Ask the teachers." The room leaned in. Awa wiped her eyes and did not know why. Calm words, clean facts. They did not cut. They healed, and they challenged. The moderator nodded for questions, but Ibrahim lifted a small brown notebook. It was worn at the edges like a pocket you could trust. He said, "I wrote these during village visits, not slogans, things I saw." He read softly. Tuesday, young teacher in Barcelego reopened her classroom. No chalk, but 27 children came with stones to write on boards. Wednesday, 2 trucks reached market without escort for the first time this season. He paused. Thursday. Meeting with mothers who asked for light at the clinic gates so night births would feel less afraid. No big speeches, just notes. Each line felt like a door opening. Cameras leaned in, as if they could smell dust on the pages. Hillary listened, hands folded. "How do we verify?" she asked. Her tone was careful. "We need systems," Ibrahim nodded. "Yes, systems must serve lives, not block them." He pointed toward the technician table. "In my notebook are names and phone numbers. We can call them now. Let the room hear." A murmur spread. It was bold and strangely gentle. He was not fighting. He was inviting truth to sit with them. The moderator blinked, then slowly said, "Let's try." The technician plugged a phone into the hall system. A tap echoed like rain on a tin roof. The moderator closed her eyes, picked the number, then pressed call. Everyone watched the screen glow. "Hello," a woman answered, breathless. "This is Mariam from Kaya." The moderator introduced the hall. Mayam's voice shook, then steadied. "The clinic generator works now. We take turns keeping watch. The men fix the fence. We are tired, yes, but the babies cry less." Another call. A teacher from Fada spoke about chalk arriving in sacks tied with blue rope. "We are still afraid sometimes," he said, "but the road is not always blocked. Children come early." Hillary leaned toward the table, listening hard. Her face was kind, but worried, like someone holding a cup too full. "Thank you," she said to the voices. "Your words matter." Ibrahim did not smile. He folded the notebook and set it down as if telling the truth required no victory dance. "Madam," he said gently, "these people are not projects. They are neighbors. If help comes, let it be clean. No hidden hooks." The room grew quiet. Outside, a cloud rolled over the sun and lights softened. The calls ended, but silence stayed. It pressed on the hall like unseen hands. Some in the audience lowered their eyes. Others stared at Ibrahim as if seeing him for the first time. Awa, watching from home, wiped her cheeks with her sleeve. Her brother asked, "Why is everyone quiet?" She whispered, "Because truth is heavy." In the hall, Hillary touched the edge of her notes. She did not interrupt. She looked at the notebook on the table, then at the faces on the screen replayed above. Each voice had painted a picture words alone could not erase. The moderator swallowed, shifting in his chair. He tried to speak, but only managed. We thanked the participants." His voice cracked. Ibrahim sat still, his hands folded like stone, his eyes calm. He was not trying to win. He was trying to remind. A journalist in the back scribbled, "This is not a debate. This is a mirror." And outside, children ran barefoot past the hall, their laughter spilling into the street, carrying light where the silence inside weighed too much. The week had only begun. The silence in the hall was suddenly broken by a soft voice from the balcony. A young man stood, his hands trembling, his shirt worn but neat. "President Traoré," he called, his accent heavy, but his tone clear. "I am from Wahi. Last year, my father was killed on the road. We buried him without a coffin. Today, my little brother goes to school again because the road is open. I just wanted to say thank you." The room froze. Reporters turned their cameras toward him. His voice cracked as he sat back down, hiding his face. Hillary glanced at Ibrahim as though expecting him to wave it away. Instead, he bowed his head slightly, honoring the pain. "This is the true record," he said. "It is not my success. It is their endurance." Awa, watching at home, pressed her hand to her mouth. Her mother whispered, "May God bless the boy's courage." The moderator tried to move the discussion back to policy, but the boy's words echoed like bells in the rafters. No paper, no statistic could cover it. The internet was already clipping it. Millions watching the moment live. Hillary finally straightened her papers. Her voice was calm, but sharper now. We admire your passion, Mr. President, but passion is not enough. Without international frameworks, without oversight, without structured funding, these stories may not last, they can fade. Her words carried weight, polished by years of diplomacy. Some in the audience nodded. She pressed further. What guarantees do you offer the world? What makes your path sustainable? For a moment, the question hung like a knife. The boy in the balcony lowered his head. Awa's heart raced as she watched on her tablet. Ibrahim leaned into the microphone, eyes steady. "Madam," he said softly, "when a mother gives birth in light instead of darkness, do you ask her for a framework? When a farmer carries his grain to market without fear, do you ask him for oversight?" He paused. The room held its breath. Sustainability is not written in offices. It is lived in villages. The crowd stirred, some nodding, others silent. Hillary's lips tightened. She had expected data charts. Instead, she faced raw humanity wrapped in undeniable fact. It wasn't an argument anymore. It was a wound open for all to see. At the back of the hall, a young journalist from Senegal lifted her camera, but could not steady it. Her eyes blurred with tears. She had come to cover a debate, not a confession of pain and hope. She remembered her own father, who had died when bandits raided their bus. She had buried that memory deep. Ibrahim's words pulled it out like a thorn long hidden. She lowered her camera and wept quietly. A senior reporter beside her noticed and whispered, "Are you all right?" She shook her head, but kept filming. On the live stream, her feed captured Ibrahim's calm face, Hillary's strained silence, and the notebook resting on the table. Millions online felt the weight of both worlds colliding, polished power against raw truth. Awa's younger brother asked again, "Why are people crying?" Awa finally answered, "Because he speaks what many of us feel but cannot say." Outside, thunder rolled over the city as though the sky itself listened. And in that moment, the internet wasn't just talking. It was trembling. A hand rose from the front row. It was an elderly woman, a survivor of years of political unrest, invited as part of a civic group. Her voice wavered as she stood. "President Traoré, you speak with courage, but tell us, what makes you so sure this hope will not collapse like the others before it?" The hall stiffened. It was a fair question, one that cut deep. Even Hillary turned toward him, waiting. Ibrahim leaned forward. His eyes did not shine with pride, but with weight. "Because this time," he said, "it is not about me. It is about us. When mothers guard clinics, when youth watch roads, when farmers share grain instead of fleeing, no single hand holds the roof. Many hands hold it together." He paused, then added softly, "A roof held by many cannot fall easily." The audience sat frozen. The woman slowly lowered herself back into her chair, tears in her eyes. She nodded. "Then may those hands never grow weak." The cameras caught her trembling lips. Online, thousands typed the same word at once. "Hope." Hillary adjusted her scarf, a polite smile fixed on her face. But beneath it, her unease was clear. She had faced generals, presidents, and kings. But this quiet defiance, rooted not in anger, but in truth, was different. She tried again, her voice calm but edged with steel. "You speak beautifully, but beauty is not a plan. How do you manage resources? How do you ensure accountability? Without that, even noble intentions turn to dust." The hall turned to Ibrahim. His expression did not change. He answered simply by standing with the people, not above them. He gestured toward the balcony. "When a road is rebuilt, the village guards it. When water flows, the women track its use, not reports for offices thousands of miles away. Reports written in the footprints of those who drink, those who learn, those who live." The silence afterward was heavier than applause. Hillary's smile faltered. For the first time, she looked as though her polished lines had met a wall she could not climb, and the cameras drank it in. A sudden stir came from the side entrance. A young girl, no older than 10, had slipped into the hall with her mother. She clutched a folded piece of paper. Security hesitated, but Ibrahim raised his hand gently, allowing her forward. She walked shyly to the stage and handed him the paper. Ibrahim opened it carefully. It was a drawing, a stick-figure family smiling beneath a small roof, a tree beside them, and in the corner, bright sun shining. The hall gasped. Ibrahim knelt so his eyes met hers. "Who drew this?" he asked softly. The girl whispered, "Me. It's my family. We used to run when the roads were bad. Now I can draw us at home." For a moment, even Hillary closed her eyes, her face softening. Ibrahim lifted the drawing for all to see. "This," he said, his voice breaking just slightly, "is the true report. No statistic is stronger than this child's dream." The audience erupted, not in noise, but in tears. Reporters forgot their pens. The internet caught fire. The drawing spread faster than any headline, and in that fragile silence, the world felt smaller and more human. During a short break, Ibrahim stepped outside the main hall. The cameras followed him, hungry for every detail. As he walked, a young boy from the crowd slipped through the barrier. His sandals were torn, the sole flapping with every step. He held up the shoe and said, "President, this is what I wear to school." His voice trembled but did not break. "I don't need charity. I just want a road safe enough to walk on." The hall hushed, those nearby holding their breath. Ibrahim knelt down, gently touching the worn sandal. "Your shoe tells the story better than I ever could," he said softly. "I promise you, our children will not walk in fear." Cameras clicked, but no flash could outshine the tears in people's eyes. When Ibrahim stood again, the boy's words lingered like an oath, binding everyone present. Hillary glanced away, the weight of the moment pressing against her composure. Online, hashtags erupted. "Broken shoe truth." Millions shared the picture, hearts pierced by a child's courage. Back inside, the discussion turned tense. A glass of water slipped from a waiter's tray, shattering on the floor. The sound echoed, sharp as a gunshot. People flinched, some clutching their chests. Ibrahim stood calmly and addressed the room. "You see how everyone reacted to the sound of breaking glass?" His voice was steady, but the message was deep. "This is how my people live every day. Always ready to flinch, always expecting the break. That is not life. That is survival." The room sat in stunned silence. Hillary lowered her pen, staring at him with a mixture of disbelief and respect. She knew her words could not touch the raw truth he laid bare. "Fear is the heaviest tax," Ibrahim continued, his voice trembling now, "and our children have paid it long enough." For the first time, applause broke out. Not staged, not polite. It came in waves, unstoppable. Some stood, some wept openly. The shattered glass lay on the floor. But in that moment, it symbolized something greater. The old ways, broken and scattered. As the day session ended, something unexpected happened outside the hall. A small group of young men and women began singing an old Birkenbay folk song. Their voices were rough, untrained, but filled with power. The lyrics spoke of planting seeds in dry soil, of waiting for rain, of refusing to give up. The crowd around them joined in, their voices rising like thunder rolling over the city. Ibrahim stepped out and paused, listening. His eyes glistened as he whispered, "This is the voice of my people." The song spread. Phones recorded. Live streams exploded across Africa and beyond. People shared clips of the melody. It was no longer just a meeting. It was a movement. Hillary, walking behind him, looked shaken but strangely thoughtful. She seemed to realize this was not about politics anymore. It was about hearts uniting around truth. Awa, still watching from her small room, cried into her scarf. Her brother joined her, humming along. The song carried across airwaves, across borders, straight into souls. And for the first time in years, many dared to believe perhaps the dry soil would bloom. That night, as the forum recessed, a sudden storm hit the city. Rain hammered on tin roofs, lightning splitting the sky into white fire. Power flickered inside the guest hotel where Ibrahim was staying. Yet in the lobby, people gathered not to escape the storm, but to listen. Ibrahim sat with a circle of young delegates from across Africa. No cameras, no microphones. One asked, "Excellency, do you ever feel afraid?" He looked at the storm outside, the thunder shaking the glass. "Yes," he said quietly, "but fear is not a chain if you choose to walk with it. I fear losing my people more than I fear losing myself." His words spread by whispers faster than any news channel. Reporters picked them up, and within hours, social media carried the line. Fear is not a chain. Meanwhile, Hillary remained in her suite, watching the clips roll in. For the first time, she realized she was no longer debating a man. She was witnessing a voice turning into history. On the last day of the week, the hall filled to its limits. Even corridors overflowed with listeners. Everyone knew this was the final session. Hillary spoke first, her tone softer now, almost weary. "Mr. President, you have challenged us all. But tell me, what do you want from the world?" Ibrahim stood. His presence filled the room, not by volume, but by weight. "We want respect, not pity. We want partnership, not puppets. We want the right to fall and rise by our own steps." He paused, eyes sweeping across the crowd. "Madam, your arguments are strong, but they are built on papers. My arguments are lives. Children, farmers, mothers. Which weighs more?" The room erupted. Some clapped, some cried. Hillary lowered her gaze, unable to answer. The internet exploded. Memes, clips, quotes. But in that hall, it wasn't about trending hashtags. It was about dignity, standing face to face with power and not bowing. The forum ended at dawn. The storm had passed, leaving the streets washed clean. Outside, as Ibrahim walked to his car, the same girl who had given him her drawing ran forward again. She held a small candle lit despite the morning light. "This is for you," she whispered, "because even when it is day, we need someone to keep the flame alive." Ibrahim knelt, accepted it carefully, and said, "No, little one, the flame is already in you. Keep it burning." Reporters caught the moment, but no camera could capture the full weight of it. Across Africa, across the world, millions wept watching the replay. Awa in her small room sobbed openly, hugging her brother. The journalist from Senegal whispered, "This week was not politics. It was history." And as the sun rose brighter than the storm before, one truth became clear. Humiliation had changed direction, not because of insults, but because of dignity spoken calmly without hate. Dear viewers, if this story touched your heart, if it made you cry, think, or hope, don't just watch in silence. Smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, and drop your comments below. Tell me what part broke your heart the most. Your words matter. Your voice matters. Let's keep this flame alive together. The story ends here, but your reaction keeps it.